that real change in this country, today and always, has come from the grassroots. And I'll give you an example. I am the founder of a caucus in the Senate called the Defending Social Security Caucus. And we formed that caucus with other progressive Democrats because we saw the attacks coming from Republicans. And over the years, I must tell you, Marcy, you know this to be true, even some Democrats said, all right? And we said, no, you're not going to cut Social Security. And what ended up happening, we work with a number of senior organizations, the Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare, AARP, other organizations. Millions and millions of signatures came in on petitions. You know what those signatures said? Don't cut Social Security. And we were able to push back. Social Security was not cut. So to answer your question, whether you are a conservative Republican or a progressive Democrat, you understand something. And that is when people all over this country stand up and fight, you're not going to go against them. And millions of seniors are standing up, and disabled veterans. We work on this issue with obviously the major senior groups. We work with all of the veterans organizations, the American Legion, VAV, Vietnam Vets, the VFW. We work with disability groups, and all of these groups stood up and they said to Congress, you will not cut Social Security. We won that. Now the fight is to expand Social Security. So to answer your question, yeah, I think when millions of people stand up and fight back, we will be able to expand Social Security. On Social Security?
I want to ask about pensions. Can you say something about the legislation that you and Marcy Kaptur have introduced?
Absolutely. Look, when we talk about what goes on with seniors, what Marcy Kaptur knows, what I know, is there was a terrible provision in a major piece of legislation that will could make massive cuts in pensions that workers were promised and were guaranteed. You underline people's faith in government when you have a process in which people were promised pensions, gave up wage increases, gave up health care benefit increases for these pensions, and then Congress acts to say, no, we're going to see the possibility of massive cuts of pensions. I am on legislation in the Senate. Marcy is working hard in the House. We're going to do everything that we can to make sure that the promises made to those workers are promises that are kept. On Social Security,
as you just said, this is your fourth press conference in 2 weeks on issues that are very important to you, Social Security and trade, illustrating differences between you and Secretary Clinton. Why just now are you making this push to illustrate those differences?
I don't think that's accurate. I think we have been doing our best. I think sometimes people get confused with the kinds of vicious personal attacks being made by Republicans against each other, which I don't do. And what we are seeing in the Republican presidential process is like a sixth grade food fight that you see in the cafeteria. And I would hope that most sixth graders understand that we don't behave like that. So what we are trying to do and have from day one is differentiate our differences, which are very strong, with Secretary Clinton. Now, trade is a huge issue here in the Midwest, in Ohio, in Michigan, in Illinois, and all over this country. We have lost thousands and thousands of factories in this country since 2001, if you can believe it. We have lost 60,000 factories in this country and millions of good-paying jobs. Not all of that is attributable to trade, but a lot of it is. And many of us in Congress have understood from day one what a disaster NAFTA would be, what a disaster permanent trade would be. You don't have to have a PhD. You don't have to have a PhD in economics to understand that if given the option, American corporations would much prefer to pay people in Mexico or China pennies an hour rather than pay American workers a decent wage and negotiate with the union. Everybody knows that, and that's what they did. I opposed every one of these disastrous trade agreements, and history will record I was right. Hillary Clinton supported NAFTA, supported PNTR with China, supported the Colombian trade agreement, supported the Korean trade agreement, supported almost all of these disastrous trade agreements. And the result is the loss of millions of decent-paying jobs and a race to the bottom. A race to the bottom, which means that now many of the new manufacturing jobs being created in America pay substantially less than the jobs we used to have. So, I think history will record that I was right on these trade agreements, and if elected president, let me tell you what we're going to do. We're going to make a radical change in our trade policy. Corporations in this country are going to start investing in Ohio, in Michigan, in Vermont, in the United States, not just in China and Mexico. Okay, any other questions on Social Security? Okay, thank you all.